Right. So the police officer once said to me, we're talking not to the camera but to each other, right? But yeah, I came up with this idea, and I've been bubbling with it for a little while.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, right, I'll reach out to you first because of what you will be doing with the. I don't think I want to get it right. And I did get one of these through my door, so that worked.
That's good, yeah, for the,
for the Raymond James Quigley legacy. Have I said that right?
Yeah.
I said his last name.
That's right.
Because a few months ago, there was talk, because I actually saw it in a poster in a shop, and then I went to a second town council meeting because public are allowed to go, so I took my camera.
Yeah.
And you get 3 minutes, so it's all right, for the public in a town council meeting. You get 3 minutes, and they'll allow, I suppose, 3 topics. So you've got 3 minutes each on each topic. That's how I'm assuming.
Yeah.
So I raised in that 3 minutes about this, not this particular lady's story, because I was still finding out from a neighbour that this happened to her 16, 17 years ago outside the King's Arms.
All right.
She lost a son.
Right.
And we've had stabbings over Sainsbury's. We've had a guy with a machete, haven't we, over at Aldi, around that grounds. And it's like, when I spoke to someone about it, they were like, not to promote North Walsham as having knife issues, and I don't agree to that. It's about safety. You know, we've got kits to, you know, the yellow things, haven't we?
Yeah, you've got the defibs and stuff like that.
And what I'm learning through this lady that I did interview a few months ago, my neighbour, is it's kitchen knives. It's, you know, it's not necessarily
like weapons they're going out to get.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? So what we're seeing on the news and everything, it's like, it's not always about gangs. It's not. And I'm also learning that there's this guy in Scotland, this doctor, that wants to see kitchen knives and everything kind of banned in shops. Do you know what I mean? Or have an age restriction, I think, on them. I'm still finding a little bit more out about, so I can't go into detail about that. But yeah, getting back to town council, and I raised it and I recorded it, and Bob, the mayor, was like all in agreement with that. And I don't know what I went to that meeting expecting, but I thought, you know, that they would put that on topic and discuss it and see if there's any monies to kind of put towards this for North Walsham. Didn't seem to be the case. So what I've done is I've got an application form from the community shop, and I want to try and get a meeting, but in at any time, by the way. I want to organise a meeting with the police, with the town clerk, at the town, I want to say the town hall, but I don't know what it is, the town
I don't know what
building.
it is now, the Cedars,
Yeah,
the Cedars, that's what it is now. I know, we'll always refer to it as the town council office, and some people call it Wetherspoons.
Bloody Wetherspoons. But I would like to do it there, but I would like to invite the mother, because I know with what you're doing next month with the Ballsy Bingo, I think it's fantastic, and it's like we should do more in supporting you raising that night. So it's one kind of involving that within the application form and involving her, because the application goes on about, you know, the charities and everything else, and I don't know, I've never done these forms before. I'm kind of thinking you have, and it's like, if we can have a collective meet,
yes, so
to go through this application form
and is that because that night is specifically to raise money for kids and stuff?
Yes, exactly.
So that is about if something happens, and those bleed kits aren't just for stabbings, they can be for car crashes, for whatever. And so we have defibs around North Walsham, and these are emergency kits. Should that happen, and that's the mum of Raymond. That's her way of thinking. That's how we can do that. But the other tactic is the preventative measure, which is like a bigger picture. So I think if there's going to be some sort of community thing or a discussion or a project, we could get kits out there, and we're doing a training session actually on Monday night here as well. At 7 o'clock on Monday, and it's training and awareness on how to use the bleed kits, how to access support, some really basic stuff. So it's not a certified course, but it's basics of CPR or first aid, which is done by a qualified trainer, and she's giving up her time for free, and that's in the Black Swan Theatre on Monday the 28th at 7 o'clock. That's where we were talking about we can raise money for bleed kits, but actually it's what do you do, how do you do emergency first aid. Now bear in mind this it's not certified, but it's been given by a proper trainer, if you like. So it's just a very hour and a half quick introduction, so people have got a bit of confidence of what to do, because I'm a qualified first aider, that's one thing, but actually something happens and you haven't got a certificate, what stops you getting involved in doing it?
Insurance.
The claim culture and stuff like that. So, and I think I'd rather, if I was in a situation, I'd rather someone gave it a go than just said, no, I can't touch you at all. So so that's going to be about that, and Maggie's going to talk about the legacy project that she's got and what she's doing on Monday. So maybe there's something in it where there's things about, if we have bleed kits around, does that mean it's a stabby town, right? Or actually does it mean we're just looking after each other? But also, what can we do about awareness and preventative measures beforehand? So you've got an age restriction on knives already over a certain length and stuff. So kids can't go and buy a knife as it is, but then they're just grabbing them out. They can grab them anywhere.
Kitchen.
And this whole culture of like going into knife crime and stuff. If someone's going to walk around with a weapon or something, it means they're ready to use it, whether it's there for protection or not. And you talk about inner city projects. So when I worked on the Olympics, we worked with some boroughs in London that had knife crimes, had weapons, and the whole thing of those projects is if a 12-year-old has got a weapon on them or a knife on them, are they ever going to use it? And the stats that are rolled out are saying that you're more likely to get stabbed or get involved in a fight if you're carrying a weapon yourself. So I think there's a whole thing about that. And in North Walsham, there's been a few things lately, like a few scuffles in town involving kids, and we're looking at kids aged between 10 or 14 late at night. And again, we can all think about why they're out at night. Where do their parents or guardians know where they are, what they're doing? But maybe if there's going to be a community project, is there more we can do than plonking kits around and stuff? But also, people might say, has North Walsham now got a knife problem suddenly because they're doing this project? And the fact is, touch wood, we're a lovely town, we're a lovely community. We've had instances where things happen, but actually we're thinking forward and preventing it. So it's probably balancing what people might think about the place, because they want to scare people. Because I have customers who won't go to evening events because they want to come out in the dark. Because they're worried or scared, and there hasn't actually.
They don't like seeing groups of lads, and
and there haven't been any incidences to talk of yet, and hopefully not at all. But the fact that customers are too scared to come out, and it's understandable if they're on their own or in the dark, etc. But what can we do to make the place as a safe place? So we've got measures in there if something happens, but for me, we need that assurance beforehand and stuff like that. And it might be, at the moment, people are talking about it because those are councils, street lighting, right, for example. And if I'm going to go around the houses, we're going to go about it. So those are councils are looking at how many lights do they switch off to save money. And it happens every few years that someone goes through it. And I remember years ago, we had loads of LED lighting installed in town a few years ago, and that was quite a big project to save money on electricity. And that meant lights could be on for longer and not cost any more in terms of electrics. But is this a wider community thing about making sure we're lit at night, it's safer at night, and people feel safe, as well as the kits and that project going on? Is there anything else we can do as a town to make people feel safe? And I think people feeling safe in the dark or coming out on their own is just as important as making sure we've got a first aid kit at the other end of it and stuff. And I think that's part of the project. And if we are seeing loads of kids hanging around late at night, what do the parents know where they are? What can we do about that possibly? Because kids are always going to hang around and hang about, but do they look scary? Why are there 11-year-olds out at 11 o'clock at night, for example? What is going on? So does that suddenly involve a lot more of a wider thing? So that's just opened up a can of worms about that. But for me,
it's knowing where to start, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's knowing where to start, and like you say, it's about preventing. So is this the first step? And I feel like they want to just come on the ladder.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes. So the project where we're raising funds for kits, that's for kits and things in North Walsham, because Maggie lives in North Walsham. So it's now she's got kits all over Norwich. She's got loads of kits, and if you look at their Facebook page, she goes around Norwich with people putting kits up, doing this fundraising all the time.
How much do these kits cost?
I think they range from like 180 to a few hundred, depending on it.
And that's just for one
kit. And I think what it is she's working with nightclubs and bars particularly, because you never know where it's going to happen. And on Facebook, I think she visited like 8 or 9 venues in one day. And I chatted to her at the end of the day, and she was knackered because she's going around telling everyone her story, why she's doing it. But in a bigger city, that's quite understandable. In North Walsham, we don't want to create a fear culture, which I think is what some people are worried about. So how do we balance not creating a fear culture by making sure we're safe? We've got things to do if it happens, but also actually we're a safe community and we've got preventive measures.
I think we're rural. Do you know what I mean? We're not in a city, and I'm used to living in a city and the quickness of it.
Yeah.
Here we're rural, can't say it. And learning about the team that was here on God, what day was that? To do with the Norfolk first response, all these doctors, paramedics, nurses that are doing what they do for nothing. And when I learned that, and then learned how much MP's salary is, I just found that crazy that we're not putting the money where the priority should lay, and that's looking after ourselves. So.
Yeah. But we're seeing that more and more, whatever government we've got in, we're seeing the third sector and even social enterprises stepping up more and more. So I see it that if youth services weren't cut, our third sector wouldn't be so stretched. Like even as New Stages, as a community interest company, we do loads of stuff, from like social prescribing to wellbeing to all that stuff. Now in my head, if those cuts weren't made at the top, those services would be provided at the moment for people, and actually young people would have more understanding about where they want to go in life and what they're doing, have more confidence where they're going. But even running a youth theatre, which is all about communication and confidence, working together, all those other transferable skills you've got, not just about acting. The more you do it, the more you realise, well, we're starting from ground zero again. This young person hasn't spoken about this or aspirations or career growth and things, or doesn't know how to talk to a stranger, in terms of like another young person in the group. But when you've got things like a youth centre, youth services, even connections that would help people, all those organisations have gone. So the third sector is stepping up, and then you're finding professionals coming in to support and subsidise what the third sector is offering, because the third sector doesn't have the skill set, because it doesn't pay for that skill set, or you're relying on volunteers. So at the moment, the third sector is so important, and that's why, as a social enterprise, we're trying to earn our own money to spend it. We're not asking for handouts or grants, although that would be great, and I'd never say no. That's why I've set this model up, to try and fill in the gap. So we're not just a pub or a theatre, but we're trying to look at the wellbeing, trying to look at the safety, stuff like North Walsham People's Choir. Everyone feels safe, everyone feels like a community together. And then that's at night time, but we also do afternoon stuff to make people feel safe in the daytime.
Yeah.
But what I'm doing is we're filling the gap, and we're asking professionals to come in and to volunteer their time. And these are people that years ago you wouldn't dream of asking someone of that professional status or whatever to come and help. But at the moment, that's where we're filling the gap. And just like this project is filling in the gap, because people are worried about ambulance times, are worried about first responders around here are usually volunteers or not. They're all brilliant. Whether they're paid or not paid, everyone's brilliant who does it. But I think stuff like the bleed kits could create a fear culture on, oh my God, has it got a high knife crime ratio? Or actually, oh my goodness, where are the ambulances? Do they not arrive on time? So to me, a bleed kit could save a life, like a defib machines are there, because we're filling in the gap whilst we wait for the statutory services to arrive. And they're working so hard and they're so stretched. So for me, it's that fear culture. But just the fact, if we're a rural location and suddenly we've got bleed kits around, are people then going to think, blimey, do ambulances never come out to an R28?
No, you see,
it's
from
a
my
bigger
nursing
thing.
background, it's just it's prevention is better than cure.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's what I've always believed in. And I don't work in hospitals anymore. I don't work on secure wards anymore. Do you know, I'm not working in that setting, you know, and I've been in the community now for a little while, and it's just the case of where I'm coming from. It's over the last kind of 10 years, things have become disjointed. So the signposts and what I knew used to be there isn't there anymore. So people getting discharged coming out of the NNN that is not suitable going home, because I'm more of the other end spectrum, not the kids, but you know, adults and the elderly.
Yeah.
So when they're coming out of hospital, they're getting discharged too soon and they're coming home, and do you know what I mean? People could fall over. We've got this £4 million thing out here, and yet we've got a curb that many people seem to fall over. It's not just about the culture, the fear culture of stabbing. It's just aware, because it's an event that is coming up, and I think we should support it and make it aware of the education of knife crime, because it's happening all over the country. We can't get away with that. But I just think now is the right time of, well, how can we help by getting these kits set up where we are? Why can't we? Do you know what I mean? Why can't we say, do you know what, North Walsham is a safe place because we've got defibs and we've got these kits, and we are rural, but it's a great community, and it's a great town. So to do that, I feel like the council's failed, but it's a case of, can this grant from the community shop, because that's who I'm going to do this. I don't know how much they cost. I don't know whether or not to just put one kit down, so at least we know, because talking to somebody in the town council, you know, can we squeeze it in with a defib? Can we have a machine next to it that shares the same number? Do you know what I mean? It's talking about how can we get it in place.
Yes, and for that, there's added complications. So I phoned up defib distributors and stuff like that, and at the moment there's some are happy for them to be put with defibs, others aren't, and it's also checking what defibs are registered or not as well. So the defib machine at the end of Black Swan Loke, for example, one night I needed it. So someone's had there's been an incident, someone's had a fall. So I do first aid, phone 999, they say get the defib, and I'm like, great, I can literally see one.
Yeah.
And it wasn't on the system, it was out of use. So we had to go further into town to get one. And that's been sorted out now, because the first thing I did is the day after the incident, when I did first aid, I then phoned the company back up, and the engineers came out and they sorted that machine out for Black Swan Lake. But I think so there's also complications about the bleed kits and also the defib machines, because they're owned by different companies and there are different rules about it. But that takes a lot of time to figure it all out and what works and where it can go and stuff like that. So it's a big project. So and also it's making sure things are registered and on there, and people know that if it comes to it, using a bleed or a defib, is someone going to help give guidance, or are there clear instructions on it as well? So I mean, North Walsham is a safe place, but what strikes me is the amount of people that don't like coming out at night time. They won't even walk through the town centre at night. Now, if anywhere in North Walsham you should feel safe, it's normally the high street, because it's well lit. There's normally people in and about. It's covered with cameras. But if people aren't feeling safe, is that just the fear culture that's been generated by the media, by what they're watching on telly?
Well, we've had a lot the last 4 years, haven't we? We've had COVID, we've had lockdowns, people have got anxious, of going out, staying in, wearing masks, not wearing much, you know what I mean? And
there's definitely a shift in it.
And then, you know, what has that done to these kids? Do you know what I mean? So now they're kind of out meeting up. I mean, it's always been a case that they'll hang around, you know what I mean, in places, but it's directing them and engaging with them to find out what more do they need. And I've heard the other coin of saying, well, the kids got too much. Do you know what I mean? They can do this. Well,
yeah. So I think that the Legacy Foundation is brilliant, and what Maggie's doing is, like, I admire her so much. Like, she's been through so much, and it's only last year that it happened that someone was killed last year. But she's doing so much. But I think there could be a community project on this in some sort of way, which is about preventative measures, confidence and competency, if we need to use the kits and where they go and how they're administered, but also that whole thing of, like, making sure everyone feels safe in our town.
So the cost of a bleed kit, the cost of possibly a unit to put it in, would probably involve the council, because that probably needs to be put somewhere on a wall, so we'd probably need permission.
Yeah.
The cost of what you just said about the other part of it, which I'm sorry, I've gone brain dead, but what you've just said.
Yeah. So we've got preventative, make sure everyone feels safe.
Yeah, the cost of that, well, how's that going to happen? What's the objective of it? How much of it is going to be cost? So then perhaps this grant with the community shop, if we can do that and show and fill out the form and have discussion with the police there at the same time. If, did you say her name was Margaret?
Maggie, yeah.
Maggie, sorry, Maggie. Would she be up for coming along to talk about it? I mean, I will be recording it. It will be in I'll say cheddar, that's not, it's cedar. You know, can that be the next step with this grant, to try and, so it's collectively being done before it gets handed in to the community shop? Do you think?
I think with any grant application, or you need your stakeholders going, yeah, we're up for this. I think before any grant application, so it's probably getting the key stakeholders going, yeah, this is a good idea, and then getting the grant in. I imagine that's normally what we do for other.
So who are we going to look as the stakeholders? Who are we going to name on the form of, you know, what the charity is? And because I've looked at the form, I've not. Have you seen their forms?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I only picked this up Monday, and I mean, speaking to Bob, he said that, you know, it's like a few quid, and I know that they've given up to 20,000 because what they've given to Phoenix for their recording studio. So, and how much they're giving out on a monthly basis to whatnot. I mean, how much are we looking at?
I think Maggie would be the one to talk to, but we're looking at like a few £100 for probably a decent bleed kit. But I think more importantly is it's the other stuff is just as important.
Exactly.
And that's,
so how much do you think could we put that in within the bleed kit cost for the grant? So if the grant is successful, that can pay out for the bleed kit and for the preventative,
like a training session or something, something like that. So we look at the cost of the trainer, and that's so we're lucky because next Monday, the ladies volunteering to train everyone up, which is good. But if it's going to be a funded project, we want the cost of the trainer, where it's going to happen, and then also the kit itself. What might help Maggie out is because when Maggie when they do training events, sometimes they need bits of equipment to do training with as well. So that could be part of it as well and stuff. I think Maggie's probably the best one to talk to you about what would be good for her, because she's got a vision and she's on this 24/7, and she, you know, and it's just, we were chatting one time, and then up came the idea of doing some fundraising events, because in the theatre we had one for Macmillan Cancer Care on Saturday. We've always got fundraisers for different things. We've got an auction for the Scout Hut build tonight.
Right, okay, yeah.
There's loads of different things, so I think I'm trying to get involved and then not too involved in the detail, because I want to support all these things going around. So Maggie's the best one, but I think a bleed kit, a trainer, but I think there's got to be something else. I don't quite know what it is, because to me it's like a triangle of stuff where you've got the facilities and the equipment, you've got the training, because people need the competency and confidence, but there's that other bit, and that's what we need to shape. But I don't know what that is yet.
I don't know what it is either, because this is what, over the last few weeks, let alone the last few months, of where, how do we make it happen? How, do you know what I mean? Do we wait and sit back for things to just happen in coincidence, or do we get up off our asses and actually try and do something, rather than sit there and bitch about who's district councillor, who's the MP, do you know what I mean, and why aren't they doing anything, and why is the NHS so much shit, and why isn't funding coming into Norfolk or North Norfolk for these services to be doing that anyway, just like you said.
Yeah. I think people need to be active and be part of their community. And there are loads of keyboard warriors out there. There are loads of people that will moan, but actually, you want people that are going to step up and do something to make where they live a better place.
Yeah, but also half of this is inclusiveness. What about those that can't get out? What about those that are at home or can't? Do you know what I mean? It's not just, well, these meetings are like 7 o'clock at night. Some people might not be able to get out. Some people might not have carers. Do you know what I mean? What does it rely on? And it's also the fact of you can see it here. So it's not so much keyboard warriors on Facebook just bitching about it, but just trying to show of actually this is North Walsham community. This is a community pub. This is, it can happen. Things can happen. It might take a little bit of time. You know, I know we've talked about Pride. I've talked about Christmas lights with other people, and there's all these little things, and it's like, yeah, it would be fantastic. And having Wendy, you know, the Newtown clerk that wants to do the same thing, because you've got Cromer festivals, you know, you've got Holt Christmas lights, you've got Elsham, you know, market. Do you know what I mean? They're successful with what they do. Yeah. And it's like, let's.
Yeah, I think North Walsham needs to do what's right for North Walsham.
Exactly.
But I think in this town.
In a North Walsham way.
In a North Walsham way,
Yeah.
totally. And I think, and I'm going to boldly say though, that those people that do stuff in the town are probably the same 9 people involved in that committee. They're involved in that, they're involved in that, and they're involved in that. And when you go to like events that are community driven or projects that are community driven, you've got the same names and same faces involved in every single one. And we want more. We need more people to be doing it, not relying on those same few people, because those few people have got limited time capacity. Also, it's mentally exhausting when you're dealing with stuff as well. So we need more people to step up, because otherwise it is the same people and the same names that go around to all everyone's brilliant, but actually where are there other people getting involved in stuff in the community and stuff? And I think that's important, and maybe doing quite a specific project like this is more specific, that might get other people involved. It might get more parents involved as well. Parents of teenagers, for example, might want to get involved, and it's often parents of young people and children are quite hard to get involved in community stuff because they're focused on bringing up their family, but actually that's quite an important time to get involved in your community, isn't it? So
yeah, it is. Do you think on the 28th you said, wasn't it?
Yep.
Do you think it'd be possible if I could come along with my camera?
I don't think it should be filmed, because I think that people attending the training. What we don't want is people to watch something online for a minute and then think they know they've gone through the training themselves. So I don't think it will be an open. So everyone's welcome to come along, but it's because it's delivered by a trainer in that space with Q&As and stuff. I wouldn't be comfortable putting a training session out there online in case people watch it and then think they know everything. But
how about the Q&A thing, or when you said that?
So the bit that Maggie's going to do a bit of a talk about.
Could I come along to that?
Yeah, no, I think that would be really good.
Because then, you know, I don't have to record of give mouth to mouth or however far the trainer's going to go. I don't know. But
like saying about Maggie and what she's talking about would be good. To get the word out there. Yeah, we'd have to ask Maggie and if she's comfortable
could you? I don't have any contact details for her, and I don't want to just kind of. She don't know me from Adam. So would you mind?
And if not at the sessions, you might do a bit to camera, like she might do something to camera to talk about what it's about, because she's like really powerful and passionate speaker about it. But and stuff like that. I don't think I'd be comfortable with the training going out there in case people watch it and then.
But you're right. You're right. There will be people out there that think, you know.
I've watched 10 seconds of that.
I know how to do that.
Yeah. And the thing about the training is because it's done by a qualified trainer, she'll make sure that at the end of the session she's comfortable with what people have been told, because it's not a certified course, it's not first aid at work or whatever, but it's just a bit of an introduction to it, and with the kids in particular.
Okay.
And so we kind of want to monitor and manage that, because if you start putting stuff online, you've got a whole other load of credibility you have to look at if you put stuff out there.
Yeah, I'm definitely learning that. Yeah. So that's the 28th, Monday, wasn't it? Did you
Monday
say?
The 28th.
Monday the 28th.
And that's 7 till 8:30.
7 till 8:30.
People are welcome to sign up online. So we've got an online booking system on our website.
Yeah.
Or they can tell us in the pub, and it's free ticketed, but that's just so we've got an idea of who's coming along and things. And numbers.
Okay. So booking online or on pub. Yeah, that would be great. So what are we going to do about this form? Do we need a little bit more time? Do I book a date with?
I think a conversation with Maggie is the starting point, and then because there's also other agencies involved with what Maggie's doing as well,
Right.
which would help and give support.
Yeah.
Let's also figure out what we need. So we're doing this fundraising event, and that's so we've got a few kits in for North Walsham, but it's stuff like, if suddenly we want cabinets to put them in, they cost a bit more money because
well, then that might be what this could be for.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because I mean, after all, it's supporting projects in North Walsham, so I've still got to bear that in mind that it's for North Walsham and rather than Norfolk. Do you know what I mean? And I think, well, let's just start here.
I think probably a conversation with Maggie is a good start. And if you're gonna come along on Monday, you can meet her then on Monday, and then arrange a time to meet her on Monday.
Yeah.
And then a conversation with her about the other agencies, what she's done elsewhere in other places would be good. And then it's looking at who are the key stakeholders. So does the town council need to be involved? Because if it's in a public place, do we need to inform the services that it's there? Does it even feed into a 999 call? We don't know if that happens. If something happens, do they know that it's there? And then I think it's about community awareness of why we're doing it, but without the fear mongering that might be attached to it. And it's getting that right, I think, because
balance, isn't it?
Yeah, North Walsham is a great place. It's got loads of stuff for families, for old people, for young people. We've got so much in this town, and there's so much community stuff. It's all based on goodwill. A lot of the good stuff in our town is all goodwill because everything's been cut. And I think it's how do we harness that and to say, place North Walsham is a good place. This is one bit that we've worked on to make sure people feel a bit safer, or to make sure people feel like we've done something for that. And then there's a million more things we could look at, because everyone has different priorities in life, and other people may say, well, that isn't a priority, this is. So then what's next? What's next for it?
Yeah, but then that might be good feedback from whatever comes of this, of what happens next. You know what I mean? Okay, well, I'll set fire with all the other people that I've got in mind, because it was just going through my head of, well, how do we do it? And me thinking formally, do you know what I mean? It was like, well, maybe that's more formal to do it, because then everybody kind of knows what they're there for, and it's still at the standard of we mean business. Do you know what I mean? But I'll wait till Monday and meet her and just go from there. I'll keep hold of this.
Yeah.
So when the time is ready, that we know what the third thing is. Do you know what I mean? That maybe that's the time where we can get a few of the people together around the table and talk about this application form. Because another part of it was thinking, well, should the town mayor be involved? But the town mayor is Bob, who is within the community shop, and it's like, how? I don't want it to be biased or anything. Do you know? I just want it to be a work in progress of ticking all the right boxes and just knowing that something can be done. And it's not just one person that's done it, it's collectively everybody pulling it together, and this is how it's doing it. And I want to document that of how we can all work together and how moving forward and just changing. Maybe that's just me.
No, I think it's fine.
Do you know what I mean?
Of course, there's those ways where people can work together.
Yeah.
And just finding a way of sewing everything together in one sort of way.
And I'm just giving this a shot, because I'm thinking if this is the right way of going, because then it's transparent, it's open, people can watch it, people can look back on it, and even for me, this could be a learning curve of looking back and thinking, what question was missed out? What, do you know what I mean? It's just.
And it's interesting because as soon as you put the camera on, we go into like performance mode, isn't it? Like this isn't that if we were chatting, we just like chatting on this, right? But I always suddenly looked at how we're sitting, and the thing is when
I know my back is aching because I'm thinking normally my back, and I'm having to.
And we all go into performance mode. We go into performance mode like when we see different people, when we walk into a different shop or a pub or even on the street, and it's that performance mode is there, and then as soon as the camera's there, people do. And also I'm thinking about what I say. I'm speaking a bit slower than what I normally do as well, and my brain is like churning stuff away.
And I'm trying to hear what you're saying, but also thinking of the points that I need to ask that question, need to ask that question, but not disturbing you in your flow, but trying to remember that when you're finished of, shit, what was the question that I wanted to ask you? I do that all the time, but then maybe I always think I'm on HRT, I don't know.
No.
Well, that's great. Is there And the other thing, with that night on, it's the 9th, isn't it?
Second,
sorry, 2nd of the 9th.
Yeah.
Can I record that? Can I come in and...
That's
but
sold
that
out
will be
now. And yeah, that's not recorded because it's people on a night out. And
well, it's not so much about them, but just showing. I just wanted to show the atmosphere of a good time, celebrating, and showing a part of North Walsham's kind of entertainment in a good, strong light where it's. What's the word I'm trying to say?
I know what you mean. Yeah, so we can talk about the right bit to show because it's a night with people there, and I'm for live entertainment. I'm like live entertainment is live. That's it for a reason. If you're not there, that's it. And in COVID, I did loads of online performance and stuff like that from like Shakespeare's whatever. But for me, I've built a theatre to be a theatre, not a TV studio. So I'm like, if people want to come and experience stuff, they've got to get off their bums and see it. And we'll do everything we can to make sure the place is as accessible as we can.
I totally understand that.
So I
I'm
think
trying to show community of people pulling together, having fun, and having an event that was successful and that worked, and to see at the end of that how much money was raised that night, how many bums were on seats, and how people, even from that fundraising side of coming along and supporting it, to actually make people realise that it was a good night.
Yeah, and why did they come? Like, if you speak to people there, like, did they come because it was a good night out? Did they come because it's a fundraising thing, or did they come because there was nothing on telly? That is quite an interesting thing about community as well.
So do I need to do that after?
So it could be like catching a couple of people going, "What do you think of tonight?" or "Why did you come tonight?" That's essential information for us as a theatre, but also as a community. Why do people go to stuff? Is it because of the fundraising cause?
Yeah.
Is it because it's a good night out? Or what is it? And that's also an interesting bit about the community because you can build on that information going forward for other stuff as well.
So maybe I need to think how to.
Yeah.
Right. That's all I need to say. That's longer than 20 bloody
that
minutes.
was lovely. Right.
I knew as soon as I
can hear people going down the corridor searching for me.
Where's Joe?
That's it.
But thank you, Joe.
Oh, that's all right. I think on the night of the bingo, if we chat about what bits, because I don't want the night shown as such.
No.
But something about the atmosphere or capturing something would be quite good.
Yeah, because I can put it on a big camera, so the quality is a bit better. Well, actually, I need to turn that off before I move it. Oh shit! I didn't do that one either, did I? Jazzy bit of kit, isn't it?
Yeah, it's nice.
Right, hang on. How do I?